Donald Trump is on a warpath against CNN today, slamming the network after running a story that undermined the success of the US military's attack on Iranian nuclear sites. CNN claimed White House sources told them Iran's nuclear facilities were not completely destroyed, as Trump declared, and that Iran's nuclear program was only set back a few months after the strikes.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We have major breaking news into CNN. 3 sources tell CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back a few months.
That's right. So this is an assessment that actually is out from the Defense Intelligence Agency. That is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it was based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. CENTCOM after the strikes, according to one of the sources.
Donald Trump was not happy with CNN's undermining of him or the U.S. military who executed the attack, calling them losers.
That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Online commentators agreed with the scathing criticism by the president, saying, "Reason number 10,000 why I love President Trump." And this commentator agreed, saying, "You might hate Trump for how he says it, but you can't hate him for saying it. Trump's right again." And it wasn't only Donald Trump who was enraged with the story. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt took a brutal stab at the leaker, saying, "This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration." And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth backed Trump.
I checked in with a White House official about these various reports that are citing unnamed Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA officials, who are claiming that the strikes were ineffective to the point that they only set Iran's nuclear program back a few months. The administration is pushing back on that in the strongest possible terms. Within about a minute of me asking, I have this on the record denial from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. He now says, based on everything we have seen, and I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons. Our massive bombs hit exactly the right spot at each target and worked perfectly. The impact of those bombs is buried under a mountain of rubble in Iran, so anyone who says the bombs were not devastating is just trying to undermine the president and the successful mission.
Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller doubled down on this, commending Trump for taking action where no other presidents have.
Well, let's just take a moment to think about how historic this moment is and what President Trump has achieved in this 12-day war. Presidents going back to Bill Clinton have said it is the policy of the U.S. government not to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But under every president except Trump, Iran marched closer and closer to being able to put onto a ballistic missile a nuclear warhead that could take out an entire city. That has been the direction Iran has been going in year after year. President Trump took action flawlessly through the United States military to obliterate Iran's nuclear sites and to stop them through the use of military force from having a nuclear weapon. It was a bold, courageous action, and it happened without a single leak, without a single solitary service member losing their life. Everyone said, who was a critic of this action, that it would lead to World War III, and instead we have a ceasefire, and instead we have the beginnings of a new era of stability and peace and security in the Middle East.
And while CNN detractors are questioning the effectiveness of the US strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, National Security Advisor General Mike Flynn says the before and after images showing clear sites of impact prove the site was destroyed. He said, "See a difference? Below is a comparison of imagery before and after the US strikes, revealing changes to the terrain above the Fordow nuclear facility." Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff backed this up, explaining the strategy.
That conversion facility, which as far as we know is the only facility in Iran that can do this, was completely destroyed at Esfahan. It's above ground. It was hit with a 30,000-pound bunker buster, and it could not survive that hit. So they have no conversion opportunity, and that means they cannot weaponize, even if they've enriched to 90%. Then there are two other nuclear reactors in Natanz, one above ground and one below ground. The below ground one we know we eviscerated, and the above ground one, which had been hit by the Israelis and had been substantially damaged, we put another bomb on top of it just to make sure that it was eviscerated, and we know for a fact it was. Fordow is the last enrichment reactor that was operating there, and we put 12 bunker buster bombs on Fordow. There's no doubt that it breached the canopy. There's no doubt that it was well within reach of the depth that these bunker buster bombs go to. And there's no doubt that it was obliterated. So the reporting out there that in some ways suggests that we did not achieve the objective is just completely preposterous.